What's up, my niggas?
Oh, did he just say?
So today, Rockstar updated Grand Theft Auto Online with the Chop Shop DLC, where we see the return of Yusuf Amir from Grand Theft Auto 4: The Battle of Gay Tony, along with a new character, that being his cousin Jamal. And this DLC is really back to basic type of DLC. It's not like the extravagant DLCs we've had in the past, like the Mercenaries DLC, where you're going up against Merryweather. And it's nothing like the Contract, where you're working for Dr. Dre, like a Fortnite event. And it's not like the Doomsday Heist where we're saving the world from a nuclear holocaust. It's more or less a classic Grand Theft Auto type DLC, much like the Tuners update and the Kyle Perico update and the Casino Heist update. I will say for the day one content for this update, it's actually pretty good. Now this DLC comes with the Chop Shop or the Salvage Shop, whatever you want to call it. And you can buy it off of the Maze Bank Foreclosed website. And there's multiple chop shops to actually buy. I actually thought that we were only going to be able to buy one that we saw in the promotional pictures on the newswire. But it turns out there's actually multiple ones you can buy. There's one in Paleto Bay, there's some over here by Sandy Shores, and then the rest of them are in the city. I got the most expensive one over by the Maze Bank Arena. But to be honest, I would say it doesn't matter. As long as you get one that's in the city, I would say it doesn't really matter considering all the missions take place in the city. Just avoid the one by Sandy Shores and Paleto Bay, you should be good. And once you buy the Chop Shop, you buy all the upgrades or whatever, you meet Yusuf and his cousin, and a little cutscene plays. And I'm not going to play it because of copyright reasons, because he plays his classic Arab money song. And of course, as always, Yusuf is just hilarious. Like, he has to be like easily my top 5, top 10 favorite GTA characters. He's just hilarious, honestly. And he's basically explaining to you that his cousin can source cars for you to steal. And it kind of works like the auto shop contracts where you do some setups and then there's a finale. And the first one I did was stealing the new car, the new Ferrari that came out. And it's pretty cool how this mission works out because it kind of reminds you of the single player heist where you throw in the knockout gas into the ventilation system. Then you go in undercover as a police officer and you break the inmate out of jail. And then you take him to his helicopter. And then he tells you where to get the car at. And once you get the car, you bring back to the chop shop. And you have the option to either sell it for parts or you have the option just to sell it straight up. I don't really see the benefit of selling it for parts. I think you're just better off selling it to Yusuf. And the sale mission is really straightforward and easy. You're not being chased by anybody. And you can do these in invite-only sessions. You just pretty much just drive the car to the drop-off. And I've only played one other of these missions besides this one. I played the Arena War mission where you steal the Hellfire from the Maze Bank Arena. And these missions are pretty unique because in that mission, I actually had to use an EMP to shut off the car and I had to steal it. I had to drive over to Hal's garage to disarm the bomb that was inside of it. So these missions are pretty creative, and they take advantage of a lot of the assets that are in the game for the past few years. I would say the missions are actually pretty fun. Unfortunately, though, you can't replay these as often as, your regular contracts, your security contracts, or your payphone hits. The cooldown for these missions are actually 1 real-life week. So every 7 days, these contracts will refresh on your board. And I understand from a drip feed perspective, like if they want to drip feed some more contracts, like they did with the Tuners DLC for the auto shop, they drip fed auto shop contracts. I understand it in that perspective, but why not just let us be able to replay the missions over and over? It's not like these pay out that much. It takes about 30 to 40 minutes to actually get the setups and the finale done with. I just don't understand why there's a 7-day cooldown for these missions. It's just kind of ridiculous to me, honestly. The only thing that's unfortunate about this DLC is that Yusuf, he's only seen when you first buy the Chop Shop, and he's also only seen when you complete your first contract. So that's kind of unfortunate because I would love to see him hanging around the Chop Shop with you. But I guess he had to go back to Liberty City. But his cousin does hang out around the Chop Shop, so I guess that's cool, I guess. But I'd rather have Yusuf just hanging out by the Chop Shop, much like how we have Gay Tony at our nightclub. And there is a new gun that came with this DLC as well. It's called the Battle Rifle. I actually used it in one of the Chop Shop contract missions. It's not as good as the service rifle or the special carbines. I wouldn't recommend buying it, especially for the price of $550,000. Even with an extended magazine, this gun only carries 30 rounds. That's really not worth it. You're better off just getting the special carbine, honestly, and getting a drum magazine onto that instead of wasting $550,000 for this gun. And if you have the money to spend, test it out for yourself, go ahead. It's just not really a good gun, honestly. Now, for day one of this DLC, there's 10 cars you can buy throughout the 3 websites, that being Warstock, Cash and Carry, Southern San Andreas Autos, and Legendary Motorsport. And the cars that are available right now are Roddy Turismo, Omagio, the Vapid Alutian, the Vapid Dominator GT, the Karen Vivinite, the Fathom FR36, the Karen Astrape GZ, the Declasse Impaler LX, the Declasse Vajiro ZX convertible, and there's also cop cars. There's a Vapid Stenier LE Cruiser, and then there's also the unmarked variant of that same car. Now, what I will say about these cars, I have not bought all of them yet, but I will say the Dominator GT was something we needed for a long time because the GTX was just like an abomination. It was like a crossbreed between a Camaro and a Charger and a Mustang, and it did not translate well in the game. I've talked about this before, but thankfully we actually have a very proper version of a modern Mustang in GTA Online now. Fathom FR36 or the Infiniti G35. I haven't really heard much people asking for this car. It is popular in real life. I don't know. I'm pretty indifferent about it. It's really nice because you can add drift features. We'll talk about that in a second. But it's a pretty cool car. The customizations aren't all of that, but it's still a pretty cool car. Grotti Turismo Omaggio. This is the car that has the exclusivity that the community unlocked. And this car in general is pretty cool, actually. I'm not sure if it's in Monitech or not, but it's still a pretty nice looking car. It still has great performance and all that. The Karen Strape GZ, or the Toyota Camry, honestly, it's just not... It's not all that. There's not a lot of good customizations to it. It's like putting lipstick on a pig, honestly. That's just my opinion. The Declasse Impaler LX, really nice car, really nice modifications to it as well if you like these kind of older cars. The Declasse Vajiro ZX, don't buy this, just buy the regular Vajiro. This is just a more expensive version of the Vajiro ZX. Honestly, you're just better off buying the original one that came out last year, because all this is just a convertible of that car. That's just really stupid. And the cop cars. Now, the cop cars are just ridiculously expensive. There are trade prices for it, but they are really expensive. I spent $3 million buying the Vapid Stenier LE, and it's still cool to own a cop car. Unfortunately, you can't mod it in Los Santos Customs. You're going to need an Avenger. But like I said, I have yet to buy these other vehicles that are out right now for the DLC. I do plan on it eventually, so maybe I'll make a review for those cars. But for day one, these cars are actually really nice, because this is like the first day one DLC we've had that had, since the Tuners update, I want to say, that had a decent amount of good cars. Maybe even the contract actually had some good cars too. So for day one, so I'll say this is probably the first time in like 2 years since we had like a good day one set of cars to buy. Also with the Chop Shop, there's a tow service where you repossess cars and you tow them back to the Chop Shop. And your workers break down the car for parts. I'm not sure how much money you actually make from this, actually. I haven't done it yet. I have seen other people do it. But it's pretty easy and straightforward to do, I will say. I would rate this DLC on the higher end. I think I gave the Mercenaries DLC like a 6 when I reviewed it over the summer. And my opinion of that DLC has gone downhill, honestly. I think I gave Drug Wars a 6 as well. Drug Wars, it had the story... missions weren't that great. They're just copy and pasted assets from story mode. At least with this DLC, it is original. But I don't think it's like up there with the Casino Heist or Kyle Perico Heist or Tuners or the Contract. I don't think this DLC is that great because those DLCs are like 9s and 10s. But for this DLC, I would give it either a 7.5 or an 8. And this is a small DLC. It's not like an extravagant big DLC like the Contract was or Tuners was. But this still is a pretty good DLC, I will say, for the very least. Unfortunately, this DLC is no more than an 8 for me, just because you can't replay the contracts over and over, because that's, like, why not? You know, like I said earlier, like, you don't make that much money on the time basis, because it takes about 40 minutes to complete the setups and the finale, so I don't see the reason why. Especially waiting for a week for a new set of missions, it's pretty ridiculous, honestly. But yeah, that's just my opinion about this whole DLC. The cars are great, missions are fun, it's great to see Yusuf again. I just wish you could replay the missions as much as you want to without being limited. And I'm not sure how much money you're going to be really making with the business overall. I'm not sure how efficient the money making is for this business compared to like the auto shop, agency, the Asset Lab, Kasaka. But I guess we'll see in a few days from now, I guess. But if you guys did go enjoy this little review I made for this DLC, like and comment would be appreciated. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And with all that out of the way, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.